Warhammer Darktide has no official single-player offline mode, and that's a problem. Let's get a few things straight before we get into it. First, I am a big Warhammer fan. Major Kill, Wes, and Pancreas No Work are some of my favorite Warhammer content creators, and I watch their stuff all the time. Links in the description for each channel. I think there should be more games set in the Warhammer universe, so ragging on Darktide brings me no joy. Second, I love Left 4 Dead, which is the spiritual godfather of the 4-player co-op shooter genre. Since Darktide is a Warhammer 40k version of Left 4 Dead, it stands to reason that I would love it as well. But I don't. Look, I don't usually like to make negative videos, but I felt like this needed to be said, so here it goes. Darktide lacks a single player. It's all because of greed and laziness. Still with me? Good. Now here's why. Darktide was made by Fatshark, the same company that made Vermintide, which has a single player mode, so clearly Fatshark understands the mode's value. A single player is where new players can learn the game at their own pace. They can play offline if their connection is shoddy, and they can choose to get into multiplayer afterwards, or just enjoy the solo experience and then move on to something else. Clearly there was a demand for offline play, as evidenced by PC mods that allow the game to be played alone. Fatshark even promised a single player mode for Darktide, but it has been over 2 years since it was released, and still we have nothing. The only reason Fatshark didn't include it is because developing a single player takes time and effort, which means more money. Games have become increasingly monetized. This is why everything these days wants to be a live service, so the devs can build a game once and milk money out of it forever. Why bother with a single player game, let alone split screen co-op that will only last a few hours when multiplayer can keep gamers coming back and spending more on in-game purchases? It's all a question of how games can maximize profit while minimizing dev time. What's the most money they can extract from players while doing the least amount of work? This all feels like EA's Star Wars Battlefront all over again. I remember Angry Joe railing against the omission of a single-player campaign in Battlefront 1. He said that if game devs learn they can shortchange us and get away with it, they will. Well, it was true then, and it's still true today. I like Darktide, but I won't support a game that puts profit ahead of product. Until we get the single-player mode we were promised, I'm not playing Darktide anymore. And if you feel the way I do, I don't think you should either.